All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. I am your host, HouseDog, and with me, as always, he doesn't get a huge intro this episode because I've decided that he doesn't. Mother Goose.
Hello. This is my non-big intro. How are you doing, my friend?
I don't know. I thought it was weird today watching the second half of this movie. Whenever I first started watching it, it wasn't a whole lot of fun. And then there were parts where I was like, maybe I like Rise of Skywalker more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
And then that moment would go away with another scene. And it was just like, all right, how much longer do I have left of this?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I really, really enjoyed the first part of the film. It was really good. And then, the first half, our first episode on it. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I had a lot of complaints about it, but I actually enjoyed watching it. And this half, the same thing with The Last Jedi. I was just kind of sad after watching it.
Interesting. But before we get into the second half of this film, off air, I sent Mother Goose a screenshot of an interview that Mark Hamill did.
Yes.
In regards to The Last Jedi. And I haven't asked him his feelings about it yet because I wanted to talk about it here.
Yeah, so, okay, for context, I'm gonna read it for our listeners. And I'm not sure where this interview's from. I'd really like to see the actual video, but he says, I had trouble accepting what he, Rian Johnson, saw for Luke. But again, I have to say, having seen the movie, I was wrong. I think being pushed out of your comfort zone is a good thing. Because if I was just another benevolent Jedi training young Padawans, we've seen it. And, okay, so my feelings on it. Now, a big reason why I didn't like what they do with Luke was because of how sad it made Mark Hamill. So seeing that he has accepted it makes me feel a lot better. I totally get what he's saying about being pushed out of his comfort zone. Cool. It is his last line where he says, "We've seen it," that I still kind of have an issue with because, he's right. If he was just another basic Jedi training Padawans, yes, we have seen it. But he was just Yoda. We still have seen it before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we haven't seen Luke do it.
No, I know, but we could apply that the other way around too. Is we haven't seen Luke train a Padawan either.
I know, I was hoping you wouldn't make that connection and I could just leave it there. But
I will say it does make me feel better. But I still don't necessarily like what happened with Luke. And really it comes down to, we just got Yoda again from Luke's perspective.
That's fine. I just wanted to send you that.
It really did make me feel better. I don't want this to be all negative. Seeing that made me feel so much better about it.
No, it's fine. You're Mr. Negative. Every show needs that.
Can I bring up something positive?
No, we're all negativity this episode. You don't get a grand entrance. You don't get to explain yourself. Nothing.
So, okay, this has nothing to do with the Rise of... Actually, it kind of has something to do with the Rise of Skywalker, and we'll get into it. And I'm not going to go on this long. I just wanted to say that I started watching Rebels this week, and it is really good.
Finally, you've finally
really
gotten to
good.
Rebels. So it's been years since I've tried to get you to watch Rebels, and you're finally getting there.
There were two reasons I didn't watch it. I really didn't like the art style, and when it first came out, this was, as far as I know, the first introduction to the Inquisitors, and I really didn't like the Inquisitors at first. But now that I'm going back with some hindsight, I really like the Inquisitors. The art style's still not my favorite, but it's still a really good story. And the Knights of Ren should have been Inquisitors this whole time. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. We'll have an official review of Rebels at some point, but I'm watching it, and it is so good.
How far have you made it into it?
I think I'm almost done with season 1.
Oh, okay. Because there's only 3 seasons.
I I think it's 4. But you might be right. It might be 3.
I don't know. Either way, it doesn't take long to get through. Honestly, now, like, I watch Rebels probably, like, once, maybe, like, every 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. I
love
see
that
why.
series.
I'm really enjoying it. Anyway, shall we get into the film we're actually talking about today?
I guess so.
I guess. So, I have a question for you, my friend.
It may be the same question that I want to ask you about the very beginning of this second half.
How do you feel about the Death Star?
Okay, no, it's before that.
Oh, okay, go
Why
ahead.
did they crash on the planet?
Right? Okay, no, seriously. I was thinking the same thing. I didn't make a note
I
of
don't
it, but
understand.
I'm so glad you brought it up. I really think
Like-
it's so they could have that moment of Rey running away to go to the Death Star by
Yeah,
herself.
I mean, yeah, obviously, like, story-wise,
Yeah.
to move the movie along, that's what happens. But, like, I even tried to pay, like, even when I wrote it down, I was like, well, I think they explain it whenever they're talking to the people that are there that, like, the ship was damaged before they were coming in hot and the landing gear was messed up or something. And so I've tried to pay attention very carefully in these, like, upcoming scenes up to the Death Star scenes.
Yeah.
And nothing. There is no exposition on why that happens.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. But my first thought was that they were still in the Jedi Hunter's ship and it was just old. And then I was like, wait, no, that's the Millennium Falcon. Like, there's no reason it should have crashed.
Yeah, there's no explanation for why it crashes.
But story-wise, we gotta just suspend our disbelief.
And that's fine. I don't need an explanation for everything. But whenever something bad happens to the Falcon, I need to know why.
So, okay, I do agree. We don't need an explanation to everything, but when it's something as important as, like, the Falcon crashing, maybe they should have shown, I don't know, it getting hit by a blaster or a TIE fighter fire or something.
a tire
you know?
fire.
Yeah.
There was a fire in space. A tire caught on fire, and it hit the Falcon.
Yes, exactly.
Tire fire.
So anyway, the
Yes, let's
Falcon's
talk
down.
about the Death Star, because that was my question to you. It's the return of the Death Star, it's in
Death Star.
a rather large pieces. And okay, so the dagger thing.
Okay, before we get to the dagger, so I know that we see in Battlefront 2 chunks of the Death Star, but, like, really looking at it from, episode 6, there's no way there were chunks that big, especially so intact and with a working TIE fighter inside. We'll talk about that later. How did you feel about it? Like, there being such a large chunk of it still being intact.
Yeah, and it's like the main hub where, like, the laser comes out too.
Right.
I'm like,
And the door still works. We'll talk about that later, but I
I
don't know.
I think that was a Force thing, but
Oh, okay, might have been a Force thing. I kicked a can of Pringles. I'm sorry.
no, it's I don't know. It was like the thing that got me was the dagger deal.
Yes.
Like,
Okay. I'm really glad to talk about the
did
dagger.
you do any research on the dagger? Because I tried to, like, a little bit before the show, and I went to Wikipedia, which is not, I haven't been on there in years, and it's not ran, or it's ran by the same company or something, but the interface is not very user friendly anymore. So I couldn't find
Gotcha.
anything about the dagger.
Yeah. So, no, but I do also think it's kind of dumb. Like, I get that maybe originally they'd have it, but after 30 years, or what is it, like 20 at least, since Rey was born, 20-ish, that ship should have eroded, it should have sunk more into the ocean, like, it should not still have lined up perfectly.
Yeah, there's a lot there that's very... But again, that could just be another point in the
Suspend our
movie where you
disbelief.
just gotta watch the movie and accept that what is presented to you is factual in this
Right.
universe.
Right. Yeah, that's really about it. I suspend our disbelief, but I still think it's a little dumb.
Yeah, I just need more information on the blade, and it's probably out there.
Probably.
I just haven't looked for
Would
it.
have made more sense if the Jedi Hunter had been an Inquisitor and he had the Force, but...
So there is a lot of... I know there's a bunch of, like, comics on Ochi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has, like, a whole... Not, like, a relationship, but a whole deal with Darth Vader.
Oh, nice. I actually didn't know that. I might look into those, because that might make me feel a little better.
Yeah, I'm just too lazy to look for it.
Okay, I don't have anything till we get the reveal that those people that live there are stormtroopers, or were stormtroopers.
Yeah, so, like, right before that, whenever they, like, meet him on the beach
Yeah.
with the horse things, and the chick... Is her name Jana? Isn't her name Jana?
I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea.
We're gonna say it's Jana.
Cool.
Or horse chick. Maybe we'll just call her horse chick. I don't know. Either way.
While you're talking, I'll look it up.
Yeah, go ahead. And it's not a big point. It's just another, like, 3PO moment where she mentions, she's like, are you guys the Resistance? And they're like, well, maybe. Why? And she's like, well, we got a transmission from somebody named Babu Frick saying that you were coming. And 3PO in the background goes, Babu Frick, he's one of my oldest friends.
I know. I
loved it.
C-3PO's lines. Yeah, it is Jana.
Yeah, Jana.
Yes. As we mentioned in the first part, they just really killed it with 3CPO. Are
you okay today?
Probably not. I've been doing 8-hour live streams over on my YouTube channel. Go follow me there. And
Don't follow him.
It has been exhausting.
You're talking about tire fires, this guy named 3CPO.
Yeah. Yeah, my brain is not it is not in the right spot right now.
Are you slowly revealing your Star Wars rewrite with these new are these Freudian slips possibly?
They are. Yep. C3PO never actually existed. That's the plot twist. He was he was a figment of all the characters' imaginations at the same time.
Wow, that makes just as much sense as Palpatine coming back.
It makes just as... Hey, you know what? Come on, Disney. I got some good ideas. Feel free to hire me.
Which, actually, I do have a point to make about Palpatine much later.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so yes, now talking about Jana and Finn's conversation, and it makes me wonder, because their whole talk, she mentions, like, she went through a very, like, similar position as Finn.
Yeah.
That we see in Force Awakens, and she brings up that feeling, and Finn's like, well, that's the Force. And it made me wonder this, like, whole thing. Is it possible that the First Order only stole Force-sensitive children? Because that would make 100% chance. How do you get rid of all the Jedi if there are no Jedi left out in the galaxy except for those, couple that slip through the cracks every once in a while?
That's a really good point. Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up, because my next note was, you can't tell me the First Order had a whole battalion, or whatever she said her group was, that, like, they all decided not to fire on the civilians. But a whole battalion of Force-sensitive troopers, and didn't decide to take advantage of that, because as we see with the Inquisitors, they were looking for Force-sensitive beings to turn into Inquisitors.
Or kill them.
Right. So I was thinking, like, why wouldn't they take advantage of that? Why wouldn't they make this, like, large group of Inquisitors? But you're completely right. Or, well, we don't know. I guess it is just the theory, but that makes a lot of sense. Luke can't start a new school if there's no students to teach.
Right, and it's just a coincidence that we have these two characters that both went through the same thing. I mean,
Right.
Finn obviously went through a different path, but these two characters that share a very similar story and have these same instances happen to them both.
Right, and like I was mentioning, it's not just her. It was her whole group refused to fire on the civilians. So
yeah, and
I think that
we
adds
know
more to your theory.
Yeah, and it's even supported by Clone Wars,
Yeah.
with the episode where Palpatine tries to steal the Force-sensitive children using Cad Bane.
Right.
Well, he uses a holocron, and does that holocron get destroyed? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Could it possibly be? Or actually, now I was gonna bring up Jedi Fallen Order, but I kind of feel like that holocron gets destroyed maybe as well. I haven't played it since launch.
Yeah, it does get destroyed.
How many holocrons do these Jedi have? Come on, people.
Tons, and it gets brought up again in Rebels. There's a episode there, not to spoil it for you, but
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll probably be a season or two in next time we record. Actually,
it's very similar to the Cad Bane
oh, nice. Okay.
holocron episode.
Gotcha. And I mean, also we can bring up the Mandalorian. That was a reason, we know the beginning of the First Order, what was left of the Empire, they were looking for the child.
Yeah, so that idea just popped through my head today, and I was like, that would actually completely work.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And it's not like Palpatine hasn't tried it before.
Right, and in terms of my comment about, them turning them into, a large group of Inquisitors, I was also thinking about the fact that there was a small number during the Empire days, and I think they only wanted a small number so they couldn't overpower the Emperor and Darth Vader, or the Emperor and Kylo Ren, or the Emperor and Snoke, or whatever. If you had a whole army of Inquisitors, that could be very dangerous for the Empire itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at everything that Palpatine did to Vader to ensure that he couldn't overthrow him.
Right.
He thought everything through. Making his suit super terrible so that he could never do anything against him. And, just all the flaws that he made with Vader was that exact reason, so he couldn't do those things.
Right. Yeah, gotta hold that spot in power. Do you have anything before we move to actually on the Death Star?
Just the fact that I didn't understand the scene. Rey has, they figured out that Rey's gone to the Death Star by herself. And then Poe and Finn have a fight with each other that I don't really understand. They're both really upset with each other just out of nowhere. And Finn brings up the... Yeah, Finn brings up the point that Poe is not Leia, and he's like, well, I know I'm not. And Finn's like, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I get they're in a very stressful situation, but it did seem a little forced.
Yeah, let's have these two characters fight so we can, I don't know.
Create drama, yeah.
Have a different problem there other than the fact that the entire galaxy is ending in 8 hours.
Right.
Or less at this point.
Right. And I didn't write a note of it, but the fact that Lana was saying we can't go there, it's too dangerous to travel by sea at this moment, and then Rey goes, which, okay, she's a Jedi, cool. But then Lana and Finn go too. What was the point of saying we can't go now if they could just go now?
You mean Janna?
Did I say Lana?
Is this another character from your reboot?
Yep, that's what it is. No, you're right. Sorry, Janna.
Yeah, so now I'm to the Death Star at this point.
Cool. As much as I don't like the fact that such a large chunk survived, I thought visually it looked really cool.
Yeah, that was my note as well. I was like, man, the Death Star interior, seeing it broken down and stuff was really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you've already brought up Jedi Fallen Order, because I was going to bring it up right here. It reminds me a lot of the... there's a mission in there where you have to explore an old Republic cruiser because you're looking for something.
I totally believe you. I don't remember that mission at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is making me want to play that game again. I probably will.
Yeah, no, it reminded me a lot of that though, that scene. And then it's also kind of a rhyming thing with where we first meet Rey, where she's in
Yeah.
a downed Empire cruiser. It's a lot. That seems a lot the same as well.
I was thinking about that as well.
Good job, JJ. You did something right.
Good job. We will have plenty of complaints later.
Yeah. Now I'm ready to go to the throne room
We're
that
in-
had this secret room in it that we
We're in
never
the
knew
throne
about.
Room. There's a secret room we never knew about. The door still works.
I think that was a forced thing though, because I got heavy Dagobah / tree vibes again, and I mean for obvious reasons, because Rey's about to have another vision, and it is
Right,
the Death
right.
Star, and you know that was like Palpatine's place, and there's a lot of influence there, and we know for a fact that like objects hold on to energy now, and
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it being the Force. I was just thinking of like this destroyed building still having enough electricity to open the door. Did I say building? Spacecraft. I'm really tired.
another slip.
Another
Slowly,
slip.
I'm discovering your plot for your
The
movie.
whole rewrite. Honestly, you bringing up like my rewrite has been making me want to actually do like a rewrite video
I knew it.
when I'm in a better headspace, of course. So we get to see the holocron,
Wayfinder.
the Wayfinder.
That
And,
looks a lot like a Sith holocron, in all fairness.
It does. I literally was like, before you said it, I was in my mind thinking it's a Wayfinder. Maybe he won't catch it.
I always catch it.
Of course. So yes, we find the second Wayfinder, and we get to see Darkseid Rey.
Yeah, Darkseid Rey. Another trailer shot that we all thought was going to be something more, and then it wasn't.
And then it wasn't. I really like the fact that she was using the double-sided lightsaber, but the ones the Temple Guard had.
Sorry, I had to crack my knuckles. Yeah, it was cool to see those back.
Yeah. I really feel like this film, like, I think JJ learned his lesson about, like, just trying to make an original trilogy sequel. Like, it felt a lot more connected to the prequels. I still would have liked a little more, but we get that lightsaber, we get the Jedi voices later, and I think there were a couple other things, but we'll talk about them when we get there.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Dark Rey besides, like, it's Luke's scene on Dagobah.
Right.
And, I mean, that goes with something that Luke says later whenever Rey goes back is that, like, every Jedi's destiny is to confront fear. So
Right.
to see that played off again isn't out of normality. I mean, it's true. Every Jedi, like, that is their destiny, is to face their fear.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it was, we've been talking about it being a soft reboot, so I was like, it's the Dagobah scene, but I still liked the scene, and I think it still was important to the film.
But if you think about other forms of Star Wars, like, we talk about Jedi Fallen Order a lot. I mean, Cal Kestis goes through the same story. He has to confront his problems.
Right.
And his fears.
And we do see him, seeing a future of himself being an Inquisitor.
Yeah.
So, no, you're completely right. I think the last thing I wanted to mention was her very sharp teeth. I thought that was strange.
Yeah, that was a weird thing, but I get it.
Yeah, no, I do as well. They're trying to differentiate Rey and Darkseid Rey, but I just thought it was funny.
It was a little weird.
Kind of took me out of the moment a little bit. Okay.
But it leads to Kylo coming back.
But it leads to Kylo coming back. Okay, so we clearly see his TIE fighter getting blown up earlier. And I know this is just a different TIE fighter, but the point I'm trying to make is we talked about how there was no way he survived that explosion. But now we know, not only did he survive, he had time to get the Wayfinder out safely to put in this new TIE fighter.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, maybe he took the Wayfinder out.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
in between missions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. But, who knows?
I don't.
I forgot that he broke the Wayfinder. I mean, again, I haven't watched this film since it was in theaters, but I was really shocked when he did that.
Well, this whole scene makes me like think of Kylo differently for a lot of reasons, and it starts here in the old throne room, where again they have that talk about like her joining him, and he brings up the point, his line of, you know, he basically says like she has nothing and no one now, and he has nothing and no one now, and he says something like, you can't go back there just like I can't.
Right.
Which I don't think Kylo was trying to kill her at this point.
No.
And I don't think he was trying to get the Emperor to kill her either. Like, I think he had made up his mind that, like, he really did want to change, and he wanted Rey a little bit before this scene, and that's why I think he went there to find her and knew that she would be there, and that's why he destroyed the Wayfinder.
No, I agree. And like, I also wanted to bring up the fact that I brought it up a little bit when we were talking about The Last Jedi. I really don't like the fact that Leia gave up on Kylo. Like, I know they kind of took that back a little bit here, but like her conversation with Luke in the last film, like, and I bring that up to say he's kind of his feelings were a little valid that he can't, you know, feeling like he can't go back.
Well, I mean, he did kill his dad.
Okay, that is very true. He did kill his dad.
And tried to murder his mom.
And he only thought about it. He never fired.
He still thought about it. He was inches away.
Yeah. No, but like, you know, I just, Luke refused to give up on Vader, and it's just a little sad seeing Leia give up on Ben.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I really like their conversation.
And then it's the fight.
The fight.
Even in the fight, like, I was watching really carefully for it. Kylo really doesn't make that many like offensive moves. It's mostly Rey.
Right. I really liked this fight. I mean, it's no Battle of Mustafar, but I thought it was a good fight, and you're completely right. You can tell that his heart's maybe not completely in it.
Wait, which battle on Mustafar? Because we were just there in this movie.
All of them. Episode 3. But honestly, I mean, talking about this film's Battle on Mustafar, he really wanted to kill those people, so I guess you have a good point.
And he did. And he did a great job of it.
And he did, yeah.
But yeah, I tried to watch really carefully in this fight, and like he does make a few like strikes and stuff, but it's mostly defensive moves.
Yeah. I really liked their like, I don't know, I think them fighting over this ocean while the waves are crashing in was really cool.
It was a different environment than what we're used to.
Right, I think it added a nice tension to it.
Yeah, because I guess when you think of like lightsaber fights, the only one that really has like the elements added into it is Episode 3.
Right. At least for the films.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, I guess you could technically make the assumption like, well, they fought in a lava ocean and now they're fighting in a real ocean, but the fights
I didn't make that connection.
The fights were like thematically so different. Like, Anakin was actively trying to kill Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan, while I don't think he wanted to kill Anakin, was doing what he had to. And in this one, Ben is just kind of, I don't know, like you said, his heart's not really in it.
No, there's not really like that killer instinct that we've seen his character have.
Right. So I know I brought up the whole soft reboot thing, but I think a lot of it is in terms of like thematically being the same, and this one is just like, while you could make the connection of the elements, like thematically it's so different.
Yeah, this really does feel like a sequel scene.
Yeah. Should we talk about Leia's scene here as well that's intercut with the fight?
Yeah.
So we get Maz saying she knows what must be done.
Well, and that it's going to take all of her strength to do it.
Right. And I'm a little ashamed, but I wrote, what must be done is a good nap.
She's not napping, Elijah. She dies.
I know. I'm sorry. That's why I said I'm not proud of myself.
I'm not proud of you either.
But so, we'll talk about this more, but, her dying and her not becoming an actual Jedi means nothing. Well, I mean, her dying here means something, but her not being a Jedi means nothing, and we'll kind of get into that as we see it more.
Well, I have a whole theory about Leia's death.
Cool, I'm excited to hear it.
And we'll get into it much later, because it's not until like the end of the movie that my whole theory really comes into fruition.
Gotcha. So then we see Finn running up, trying to, insert himself into the fight. We get another iconic Rey yell, and we see her pushing him back, and I wrote, "Stay out of this, Finn. You don't understand him like I do.
He's a good guy. You don't understand."
He kills people because of his trauma. I can fix him.
Wow. Does Rey have a savior complex?
I mean, to be honest, so did Luke.
I guess so, yeah.
But no, I say that more to be funny. I think, I don't, she pushed Finn back to keep him out of the fight, to save him. Like, even though this film is really establishing that he's force sensitive, he's not ready to fight in a duel like this.
He's done it before.
And he got creamed.
A little bit.
But, what could have been really cool is if they'd actually let him be a Jedi and it was Rey and Finn fighting against Kylo.
Maybe.
But it would completely change the context of what's happening here.
And
I
it
just
would
wanted
really
to
like
see Jedi
alter Rey's story.
Oh yeah, completely. But then maybe it wouldn't have just been a repeat of Luke's story.
Yeah, but it would have taken away from everything they had set up between Rey and Kylo in the past two films.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm mostly joking, but they would have to like completely rewrite not just this film, but all of them if we were going to get a good Finn as a Jedi story.
Yeah. So, are you at the end of the fight yet?
Yeah, and I just wrote character fake out death number 4.
Not just that, but this is where my theory starts here, is cool. Leia doesn't die until Kylo is stabbed. Which I think is very important, and it'll be very important later.
Okay, cool.
Whenever Kylo gets impaled, that's whenever we see Leia, like, her hand drop.
Yeah, so I don't think she actually dies here. I think she more goes into, like, a coma? Because her body doesn't disappear. Which
it doesn't disappear for a reason, for my theory that I'll explain later.
Okay, cool. So, she might be dead, might be in a coma. Very excited to hear your theory. I do think, that was kind of vicious of Rey. Like, clearly Kylo had the upper hand, and he stops, and she just murks him.
Oh, yeah. Total just impalement.
Yeah.
With zero hesitation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to talk about here before she leaves?
No, I don't think so. Just that I thought it was weird that she heals him and then leaves.
Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I completely forgot she heals him. I think in the heat of the moment, she was doing what she thought she had to, but once she, like, stopped and thought about it, she realized, like, oh, yeah, maybe I don't want to kill this guy.
Yeah. And then Han coming back.
Before that, I've got a couple things.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note poor Finn being left behind again.
Well, maybe if Finn didn't try to insert himself into Rey's life at every opportunity.
That is a good point. And then lastly, I just wanted to note about our Finn, Poe, and Chewie finding out that Leia had died, and like Chewie, like
That doesn't happen yet.
yeah, it happens before. It's right when they get back before we see Han.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah. So Rey leaves, and then they go back to the Resistance or Rebel base, and we get that scene, and then it cuts back to Han and Ben.
Oh yeah, I feel real bad for Chewie. He's
I do
lost
too.
everything.
There's real pain in his voice, and the acting was just really good here, and it just makes me so sad.
Yeah, they completely crushed Chewie and his whole entire being.
You know, maybe it would have been better if Chewie had died and not have to go through all this emotional damage.
Yeah, why have they put Chewbacca through so much trauma in these films?
Right.
I want to know why.
Right? I mean, Chewie's had a hard life.
Yeah. The past year for Chewie has not been very good.
Poor guy. Oh yeah, it really has just been about a year losing Luke, Han, and Leia. But he's still got the Falcon.
It's a hunk of metal, Elijah. It's not a person.
No, I know. I'm just trying to be optimistic. But he's still got Lando.
I hate you.
Okay, sorry. Now we're on to Han.
Yeah, Han
So-
comes back.
Before we actually really get into it, does it ever explain how this happened? Because I mean, he's clearly not a Force ghost.
Well, I mean, it kind of gets explained during the scene.
That he's just a memory.
Kylo says you're not here. You're just a memory, and Han's like, your memory.
Right, but I don't visually see my memories having whole new conversations with me that have never happened before.
I mean, Kylo is kind of going through an identity crisis right now, so
It's all in his head. The hallucinations are getting to him.
I mean,
He's
that's like a
starting to
real.
see C3PO.
He's seeing 3CPO.
I don't know
But
why
no,
I'm having so much trouble with that droid's name.
I don't know either, but that happens in real life. Like, people hallucinate and see things that they think are there. I mean, Kylo's gone through a traumatic event, and now he just figured out that his mom is dead.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I was just curious if there was an explanation for it.
I guess it's because, I mean, that whole scene plays out just like in Force Awakens, but again, it has a different outcome this time.
Right. It's, I think, what he really wanted to do, and not what he felt like he had to do.
Yeah.
But also, could have been a great opportunity for Force Ghost Anakin. In theater, I really thought that's who we were going to see. And I was so shocked when he turned around and it was Han Solo.
Yeah. That would have been a cool Anakin moment, I guess, but...
Sorry, just a couple things there. What do you want to talk about for this? What actually happened?
Nothing. I think that was it for me. I think I covered everything.
Cool. I think the last thing I want to talk about is the "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it" line.
Yes, the original line there.
Yeah, it's really cool that we get to see that again.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, it's
I know we hear it 3 times throughout the trilogy. Is it once per film? Because I know we see it in the first one. We obviously see it in this one. Do we hear it in the second one, or does he say it again somewhere else in this last one?
I think he says something very similar in the second one.
In the second one. Okay, cool. I don't know. Part of me, I really love that it comes back. It's such an important line, but also it felt a little weird, too, that it was the exact same line.
In the exact same scene, just a different background.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like it, but it did feel a little weird, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We get our scene with General Pride. Do you have anything before that?
Yeah, I want to know more about General Pride. And I'm sure, most things that we say, I'm sure it's out there. But, this dude's been around.
Right. At least since the Empire.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we'll see him in Bad Batch at some point.
You think?
Maybe. I mean, it would be a good opportunity to throw him in. I mean,
But it's been so long since the Rise of Skywalker. Is anybody really going to get that reference? Unless they, like, go out of their way to do it?
I don't know. I mean, I'd say maybe we could see him in Rebels, but, I mean, that's over.
Yeah.
Oh. You know what? We could see him potentially in, like, Ahsoka or the Obi-Wan series, or... I guess there's a lot of stuff coming up that takes place.
It'd make a lot of sense for him to show up in the Ahsoka series, because, I mean, she's, you know, like that whole episode in season 2 of Mando where she's trying to track down Thrawn.
Right.
And she's seeking out these old Empire high-ranking people.
Right. Yeah, no, that would make sense. My question is, how is General Pride gonna get to Exegol? Like, there were 2 Wayfinders, and
Yeah, but I mean, he's got direct communication with the Emperor himself.
That is a good point. I will give you that.
The Emperor obviously dropped a pin on his iPhone and sent it to General Pride.
Send him those locations. Gonna have a little hookup later.
Yeah, he obviously used his Droid 3CPO.
Of course.
And he had the directions.
I'm really struggling today. I'm so sorry. I swear,
then he called him.
Listening to this, I'm a real Star Wars fan.
He called the Emperor, and the Emperor was giving him directions, and he was like, yeah, whenever you make your first jump, after that, you'll see a tire fire out to your left, and that's where you turn right.
He got that Galaxy Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we see them taking a ship to attack Kijimi.
Yeah. Which, who really cares about Kijimi?
Right. I think that, I don't know.
Poe.
Right. So I've got a couple notes here. First, character death fake out 5 and maybe 6. I guess Poe's love interest in Babu Frick.
Zori?
Yeah, Zori and Babu Frick. But then also, Palpatine specifically says, like, destroy a planet that means something to them, and, like, they go and destroy Kijimi. And I know we saw Kijimi earlier, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, it means something to Poe, but to the Resistance as a whole, it doesn't mean much.
No.
But as we've established, man. I'm putting things together in my head. So we established that Poe was this version of Leia, and
you mean like blowing up Alderaan?
and now we're getting his Alderaan. It's just in the wrong movie. Dang you, J.J. Abrams! Not everything.
I was gonna say it's like Alderaan being blown up, but I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna maybe let you have this moment of enjoying the sequels.
I put it together in my head. I put it together. No, but like I do think it was more powerful of a moment than the Force Awakens planets getting destroyed, because we actually got to be on Kijimi. We got to meet the people there. We got to hear about their struggles. Poe has an attachment to this planet. Like, it is a lot more powerful than the Force Awakens scene. But at the same time, it's just the fact that Palpatine said destroy a planet that means something to them, and it didn't really mean much to the Resistance as a whole.
Yeah. Well, Poe is the general now.
That is a good point. He is the general, and he's Leia. She lost Alderaan. He lost Kijimi. Also, I hate that it's a fleet of planet-killing weapons. I'm sorry, I know we've already talked about this, but eat my shorts, J.J. Abrams.
Hey, man, the Emperor has just mastered Sith alchemy, and he can just make everything that he wants to make.
Yeah, I'll have one more point on this later, but that, yes, he is a good Sith alchemist. That's all I have for Kijimi.
Me too.
Okay, so what was the point of the line saying, they bring up how Dio knows how to get to Exegol, or he knows about Exegol, and then, like, that literally just has no importance, because later they're like, how are we gonna get there? And then there's the whole line with Rey.
Well, no. So the whole reason why Dio was important was because Dio had like all these schematics and stuff about how to launch an attack on Exegol.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. Cool.
They just couldn't get there.
Gotcha. Okay, I don't have anything till we're back at the original Jedi Temple.
What about the return of Lando and seeing Porgs?
Oh,
Lando happens first,
cool.
and then it's Porgs.
Cool. I love seeing Lando. I really think he should have come. We should have seen him in the second film, but I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cheesy the way he came back.
A little bit, but you know what? It's Star Wars. There are a lot of cheesy things.
Yeah, but I mean, like the scene between like Poe having that moment with Leia's body where he's just like talking to her and he's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't understand. Like,
Right.
just, just trying to get advice from a dead body. And then Lando's like, it's okay. We did it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with Poe talking to Leia.
No, I don't either. I liked it.
But yeah,
I thought
okay.
that part was like very honest, and it like brought a lot of humanity to Poe's character, and I think it gave him a new depth. And then just the dialogue between him and Lando was odd.
Not great. Yeah. This script needed maybe a couple more passes,
It's quite possible.
but I always love seeing Lando, so I'm okay with it.
Now Porgs.
Now Porgs, they're back, and not this time, not a snack.
He never ate it.
That time, they were there for a little bit. Man's gotta eat.
You think Chewie ate the Porgs?
Some of them. I think Luke ate some porgs.
No, Luke is a pescatarian now.
Now, he was on that island for a while. Maybe he got tired of seeing their sad little faces.
Yeah, but the Porgs were just flourishing on that island. I mean, there were millions of them. They were everywhere.
Right, so what's it matter if a few of them get snacked on?
This is sick.
Listen, if you can't tell, I would probably eat a porg.
It sounds like it.
I don't know if I'd eat a porg. I don't know.
Okay, so yes, back to the original Jedi Temple Island. This is my favorite part of the movie. If this whole movie was like this scene, it would have been, I think,
Really
probably like my favorite Star Wars, because this scene was awesome, and the entire like Rey and Luke's time on the island together was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. So I do have one complaint. So we see her throwing the lightsaber into the fire, and he grabs it and says a Jedi's lightsaber deserves more respect, or should be treated with more respect. And like, yeah, he's right. It's just, it's such a blatant like character switch from the Last Jedi.
But it's the final progression.
Right. No,
It's the final progression of Luke's character. Of at the end of The Last Jedi, he really did become a true Jedi.
Yeah.
He shed everything that he held dear, and he let go of those attachments and all of those things that everything a Jedi should be, without like the corruptness and the like just narrow-minded views of everything.
No,
and that's what we got at the end of The Last Jedi, and that's why we see Luke in this film actually being a true hero and finding that balance of what it means to be a Jedi.
I agree. I wish we would have. This trilogy isn't about Luke, Han, or Leia. It's cool that we get to see them, but I wish we could have seen more of this Luke. I wish we would have seen. This is the Luke I wish we would have had in The Last Jedi, because like we only get so many scenes with them. Luke had already been through his character arc, which I don't want to bring up the whole Luke argument again, and I'm sorry that I am. I really wish this is the Luke we would have seen sooner.
But do we appreciate this moment of the film because we only get that small bit of Luke?
I do appreciate it. That is true.
I mean, if we had a whole film of this, would it really matter to us? Would we really care?
I don't know. I really don't know. But again, that's why I brought up the whole point of like, these films aren't really about these characters anymore. Like, they're passing on the baton.
Well, it's like getting that final season of Clone Wars, right? Like, everybody was psyched. Like, yeah, Clone Wars is back. We finally get the ending to a lot of different arcs.
Yeah.
And then, there were a couple episodes that people didn't like. For me, it was like the Martez sisters arc thing with Ahsoka, and then, like, those are not my favorite episodes of the last season. But it really made me appreciate the end with Ahsoka.
I didn't actually watch those episodes. Not for any specific reason. Like, I watched the first 4, and then I watched the last 4. Like, I wasn't, like, specifically skipping those. I just was like, oh, cool, I'll go back and rewatch it, like, once it's all done. And then I was just really eager to see that last arc with Ahsoka and kind of skip the middle one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, so yes, we get Luke, we get their conversation. I really liked the conversation they had about, like, Leia training Rey, even though she knew that she was a Palpatine. And I just wrote that, like, because characters are more than just their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really bad answer for a whole thing that you just went through.
No, that's okay. What do you have? But before the lightsaber, what do you have to talk about for their conversation here?
It was just this really is like, this is the real Master Luke.
Yeah, it is.
Like, this is how we always wanted to see the Jedi.
Yeah, it is. Anyway.
You're very upset by that.
I am. I'm sorry. I just, like, it's not even, like, Luke specifically. And I'm going to bring this note up again. I really hate having to see the original trilogy story told again. And, like, that really is all of my complaints about the whole trilogy come down to that one single thing, or are caused by that single thing.
I mean, Ben wasn't perfect at the end of his life.
No, I never said he was.
No, I just meant, like, the retelling part of it, because, like, this is the first time we've seen, like, a true Jedi, which, besides, like, Qui-Gon's probably the closest thing we've ever seen to a true Jedi, and he was an outcast.
And Ahsoka, like, and she left the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But so did Luke.
Yeah, that is true. Let's move on before I go into a long rant about Ahsoka.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we get to see Leia's lightsaber.
Yeah, and I like it. I think it's very, like, it's cool.
It's really cool. Like, it just looks like Leia's lightsaber. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
no, it reminds me a lot of Luke's.
Yeah.
It's like a feminine version of Luke's lightsaber.
Which they have such a strong connection. I think it makes sense that they'd build similar, yet still incredibly unique lightsabers.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have anything before we get the flashback?
No, go ahead.
I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about this, but this really, really bothers me because, like, Luke blatantly says she just decided to give up training to be a Jedi because she saw that at the end of her Jedi, that if she had become a Jedi, her son would die. So she decides not to be a Jedi. And you know what? Her son still dies. And it just feels like they gave this reason for her not being a Jedi, and it means literally nothing.
Or is it the same as all Skywalkers?
Maybe.
They all lean into their visions. They all take their visions as truth.
Dang it, you son of a gun. You son of a gun. That's a really good point. That is a really good point. And
I think Leia just gets cast aside because, there's so much of that story between Luke and Anakin and Darth Vader and the whole importance of that we kind of forget that Leia is a Skywalker.
Right. Right. And the Skywalkers...
And she shares that heritage just as much as anyone.
The Skywalkers have the problem of seeing a vision, trying to stop it from happening, and end up causing it to happen. You are completely right. That does make me feel a little better. But I desperately wanted to see Leia as a Jedi.
No, you get Leia Poppins.
And you know
I'll be
what?
happy.
Again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. That is on my own expectations. That's my problem, not the films.
Yeah. Now rewrite your own story and be happy about it.
I just might.
No, you're not.
I don't have anything here until she. I do until we get her leaving the planet. Do you got anything else?
Luke's Yoda moment.
With Luke's Yoda moment.
Which he enjoys so much.
Yeah, for sure. Of course he does.
Like, he has, like, a smile on his face there at the end whenever he pulls the X-Wing out. Like, he's happy about it.
Of course. It was a nice little callback. Oh, actually, I did have... okay, sorry. Before that, this line was really confusing because she says... she brings up how... Kylo Ren destroyed the Wayfinder, and then she brings up how she destroyed Ren's ship. And Luke says, you have everything you need, but like, and she says there were two, as if she didn't know there was one on Ren's ship, but then she destroyed Ren's ship, and I don't know, this line just, I don't know exactly how to describe it, just didn't really make sense to me.
Well, I don't think she knew the Wayfinder was in Kylo's ship whenever she took it.
Right.
And then she does say that, oh yeah, there were two that were made. She's just been so focused on getting the one, she forgot there was another one.
Right.
And I highly doubt that she thought that Kylo would bring it there.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Sorry, now we can talk about the X-Wing. So, this is kind of a retcon on Disney's part. Luke's door from his hut in The Last Jedi was a part of the X-Wing. It was like a part of the actual wing, I believe, and so that was the reason why he couldn't actually go to be there with Leia on that planet. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but like now it flies, it just works. Now
it was just a panel. It was just a covering.
Yeah.
That wasn't the reason why Luke didn't go to the planet. He ended that fight as a Jedi should. He was never actually there. He chose peace over actually fighting.
Yeah. No, I've seen a lot of people bring that up, saying like, oh, that's why he couldn't actually go, because the ship couldn't fly.
No, that's not true at all. They're wrong.
Cool. Okay. So she starts going, and we cut back to the rebels, the resistance.
Yeah, and then so during like they give their plan and everything, and then while they're all getting ready and everything to go do this attack, like Finn and Poe have a speech going in the background that I didn't really enjoy that much.
You know what I think it was for me? It's the fact that the speech is going back in the background as everyone's clearly going back or clearly getting ready, but then it cuts back to the end of the speech. Like we go back in time to like not actually time traveling, but like clearly he like in universe he gave the speech, then they all start getting ready and they leave. As it's presented to us, he's giving us the speech as they're getting ready to leave. It's just to visually show us and like inspire the troops or whatever, but like then it cuts back to him as he's ending the speech, and that felt a little weird.
Yeah, I didn't need this speech at all. I could have just seen them all getting in their ships and stuff and going.
Yeah, or maybe just like a shorter speech, and then like you said, them just getting in their ship and leaving.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the speech, but that's just me.
I wasn't either. Then as they're getting ready, we get a couple of things. So, Merry or Pippin, I can't remember which one. The actor, he tells Chewie, "We gotta get going." And I just wrote, "Leave Chewie alone. Let him mourn."
But he was also like picking him up. He was like, "Come on, we need you."
Okay,
He wasn't like, "Come on, quit being sad, you loser. They're dead. Who cares? You're 250 years old. It's not like they were gonna live forever."
that is a good point. And then I wanted to bring up the Haldo maneuver discussion.
Yeah, that seems so stupid to
It
me.
was so cringy. I mean, they had to write it in because they knew somebody was going to be like, why don't they just do the Haldo maneuver and take all those ships out? But like,
They're gonna do the Holdo maneuver like 7,000 times.
right? Like, we would have, once we saw how large the fleet was, we clearly would see. But then somebody also would have been like, but why didn't they just do it on the one that had the communication tower? So, like, I get why they added it in, but it's so cringy. It's so cringy.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that line either.
Yeah. And then we get the Battle of Endor. I'm sorry, the Battle of Exegol.
Endor, Exegol. Another part of your story that I've found the answer to.
Oh, no, I said that 100% on purpose. Because it really does feel like the Battle of Endor. We got the land troop going, the battle in the sky. They're trying to take out the fighters in the sky are completely dependent on what the land forces do and what they're able to take out.
Oh, I didn't catch that. But good point.
Sorry, I don't want to ruin more of this film. I just, again, they're very different visually, but thematically, as we were talking about earlier, thematically, they're very similar.
I was just going to point out that R2 is with Poe.
I wanted to point that out too, and not BB-8.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like maybe R2 should have been on the ground.
Maybe.
I don't know.
He's a pretty big target to be on the side of a ship, though.
That is true. That is true. But also, we know that he's a savage. We know he's a killer. Well, we've seen him kill droids, but I'm sure he could have done just fine against troopers.
Do you think R2-D2 has some confirmed kills against humans or aliens?
Okay. As far as I know, no. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at all.
I wouldn't either.
Okay, also, hear me out. He was on Luke's ship when Luke pulled the trigger and they destroyed the Death Star. Like, yeah, Luke was the one who pulled the trigger, but R2 was a big help in that, so he's got at least partial credit for those thousands of lives, if not millions, lost.
All right,
sorry. R2-D2 is a war criminal. Sorry to break everyone's hearts like that.
Cancel R2-D2. He's a war criminal.
Cancel him. All right, I need 1,000 people on Twitter right now tweeting hashtag cancel R2-D2. Okay. So we get them flying in and we get to see the fleet. And I just wanted to note that this fleet, as many Star Destroyers as they have, is more than enough of a threat to the galaxy. Like, they don't need planet-killing weapons. There are, thousands of Star Destroyers here, each with thousands of troopers? Like, this army is huge. On top of what the First Order already has, who already basically has control of the galaxy. Like, they didn't need planet-destroying weapons. Sorry, this really bothers me.
It's the final order, Elijah. The Emperor will win this time.
Okay, so have you heard the theory that the Emperor knew that the Yuzhong Vong were coming, and that's why he was
and that's
so
why he kept
obsessed?
building Death Stars, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting theory. I know they're not canon anymore yet. But
They could be.
they could be, and like, if that's why he wanted such a large fleet of planet-destroying weapons, like, okay. But, you know, that's all legend stuff now.
Maybe we'll know in the future.
Maybe. I'm trying to think.
I'm to the point where Poe, like, they're making their attack run, and they turn off the antenna on the ground.
Yeah,
and then
I'm
Finn's
there
like,
too.
we gotta go up to the lead ship. And she's like, well, how do you know? And he just goes, a feeling. And I'm
Okay.
like, all right. Finn's a Jedi 100% now.
Yeah,
doubt.
they really were pushing that he had the Force, and I'm really glad they did. Like, I want to see Finn as a Jedi, but it should have been the theme from the whole time. Anyway, but the point I wanted to make up is he doesn't say the lead ship. He specifically on comm says we've got to go to that ship. How are the other fighters in the Resistance supposed to know what ship he's talking about? They can't see where he's looking.
He drops a pin.
He drops a pin. All right, everyone, we're meeting up on that ship's P lot.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never know.
You never know. Anyway, sorry, I just like if he would have said the lead ship, okay, cool, but like he just says that ship, and so I just wanted to make a note of that.
I think Poe says something over the comms about the lead ship.
Poe does, yes, later. But, if Poe didn't say anything, how would, I just think it was, I don't know, I just wanted to point it out. I'm too tired to make a good point here.
Either way, Rey is now in the temple thing.
Yes, and she's facing off against Palpatine, which...
Who's actually Puppet Palps now.
Puppet Palps. And then we see, what is that, hundreds, thousands of Sith acolytes?
Yes, the disciples.
Ah, yes, the disciples.
Which is actually really cool how they, like, in that scene where, like, Rey's in the throne room, there's, like, a fog surrounding all of them. So you don't see that until Palpatine, like, comes in on his little strings, which I will never not think that's funny, seeing Palpatine on strings like a puppet.
Yeah, no, I won't either. I don't know. So how... You said you had some notes on Palpatine's return? Or is that later?
It comes a little bit later, but
Cool.
This is the start of it. I was like, Palpatine goes into his, like, grand plan here about how he never wanted her dead. He just wanted her here.
Right.
And, like, at first I was kind of mad about it, but now it makes a bit of sense. It's the whole, like, spirit transfer thing. I was like, really? Like, this is the answer we're going with here? But then I was like, okay, but you and I have talked about this, about how, like, the Sith can't become Force ghosts because of, like, their anger and everything, and, like, how they view the Force as, like, a weapon, as something to be, like, controlled.
Right.
And that's why they can't be Force ghosts. But then I was like, okay, then spirit transfer would actually be a pretty good answer to that one.
Right, and I agree with that. I think my problem, and I'll mention it again, is it's not just Palpatine, it's the whole all the Sith and all the Jedi thing.
Oh, we can get to that line when it comes.
Yeah, anyway. So I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it. I'm kind of not. Yeah. So then we get to see the ground invasion on the Star Destroyer, and I just want to say, like, visually, again, this was just really cool. Seeing them run out, and they're fighting. We get to see the Sith troopers. How did you feel about the red stormtroopers?
They look cool, and we didn't get enough of them because, like, now all of these new Final Order troopers have, like, accents of red besides the stormtroopers who are completely red now.
Right. I think this would have been a really cool thing to have since the beginning, just to kind of visually separate them from the original stormtroopers.
Instead of everybody wearing white armor again?
Instead of everybody wearing white armor again. I don't know. I just, every little thing helps, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the technicians on the ship. Like, they have the same outfit, but now their helmets are red.
Right. And the people that are in actual, like, clothing or, like, the suits have accents of red on them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I think it looks cool. But how do you feel about the ground invasion?
Like them going on to the Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Me too.
I thought it was... I didn't have anything wrong with that scene.
Yeah. Me neither. I really liked it. I think we've been making the connection between these films and World War II. It felt, them landing on the ships and rushing out to an army of stormtroopers waiting for them. It felt very World War II inspired. Yeah, Battle of Normandy. Just another connection there.
Yeah, and then after that happens, I may have missed a scene here, but this is where I'm at now, is the Emperor opening up the ceiling and watching everybody be blown up by his ships, and I just wrote down, now watch as your rebel fleet dies.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Because she refuses to kill Palpatine here and take his spirit, which, I mean, another thing here, like, while Palpatine is giving that speech to Rey about what she has to do, like, this is her only choice, if you really pay attention to the speech, it's a combination of kind of a bunch of his lines that he gives to Anakin,
Yeah.
and the speech that he gives Luke in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, which I think, I mean, it's a good callback, but, it is just the Battle of Endor.
Yeah. I mean, the speech was cool, and
Yeah,
I
it
enjoyed
really
that,
was.
but, like, seeing the ceiling open and Rey watching her friends die as...
Yeah, and just hearing him say, like, you can stop all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to note, to go along with that, the final battle against Palpatine, where the main villain of the series turns his back on him.
Explain.
Which trilogy am I talking about?
I'm confused as to what you're talking about in general.
No, this was just a more general note. I mean, just to go along with the whole soft reboot, we see Luke facing against Palpatine. Vader turns his back on him and helps him defeat Palpatine. And then here we get Rey facing Palpatine. We get Kylo Ren turning his back on him, returning to the light, which I know happens differently, but again, still thematically, we have the main hero and the main villain of the trilogy facing against Palpatine, like we did in the original trilogy.
Yeah, but Kylo's been redeemed before any of this
Beforehand,
happens.
yes. No, that is very true. But we still get that protagonist-antagonist team up.
Yeah. Now I understand. I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, sorry, I should have phrased it better. The whole reason I phrased it like that, the final battle against Palpatine, where the main villain in the series turns his back on Palpatine, is to just, that's a sentence that could apply to both the sequels and the original trilogy.
Yeah. But now Ben's here.
Now Ben's here.
We got to talk about the Han shot too.
We got to talk about the Han shot.
Yeah, the no-look shot that he does on one of the Final Order troopers that are there.
Yeah. Just gotta take after good old Pops.
It was good. And then Palps giving his Snoke speech to Rey. Mm-hmm. Which I was upset about at first, and then I was like, wait, but Palpatine's whole deal is that he was behind everything the whole time, so...
Right.
His speech would sound just like Snoke's.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm trying to think. Where am I note-wise? Oh. Frick. I've got a couple notes before this. I'm so sorry.
You suck. You're the worst partner ever. I told everyone this would be the most negative episode, and it's going to be.
I'm so sorry. So, I am going to get negative. How did Kylo get here? Like, I know he has an Empire TIE fighter, but Empire TIE fighters can't jump into hyperspace. Plus, it's one he got from the destroyed Death Star. You're telling me that just after that explosion and it crash landing on the planet, like, it was just fine? The TIE fighter was just fine? It's still working? You know what I'm saying?
You can say that about Luke's X-Wing.
No, but X-Wings could jump into hyperspace.
We don't know
Empire
that TIE fighters can jump into hyperspace, though.
No, we do. Han specifically says it in A New Hope. We literally had a conversation about it in the last part about TIE fighters jumping into hyperspace because they'd never done that before.
They'd never done it before. Just because we hadn't seen it doesn't mean they could do it.
No, but no, but Han specifically says in A New Hope.
What does he say?
I don't remember his exact line, but I can look it up if you would like me to.
No, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, we just got to suspend our disbelief. I'm pretty sure they couldn't jump into hyperspace. But
He's
also,
Kylo Ren.
aside from that, whether they could or not, the fact that there was just a perfectly good TIE fighter still in the Death Star after it exploded and crash landed.
Well, Luke's X-Wing was in the ocean for 30 years and it worked.
X-Wings, okay. You're right, I'll give you that. Okay, and then...
Yes, the hyperspace thing is still in debate. I will give you that one. But you can say the same thing about Luke's X-Wing still working after being in the ocean for like 30 years.
True. But the ocean is very different from an explosion that we see. Like, that explosion was massive.
Maybe it was just under a tarp and really well kept.
Maybe it was under a tarp. Who knows? We just got to suspend our disbelief. And then, so before we get to see Kylo Ren fighting the Knights of Ren, or I guess it's Ben now, we get to see the ending of the battle on the starship. They think they shut it down, and Finn realizes, oh, wait, no, they're just rebooting their system. And so
no, they knew that. They talked about that during the plan. They were like, even if we take the communications array down, like, they can reroute the power, and that'll give us a few minutes to start destroying the ships.
Right.
Because their navigation won't be right.
So Finn is
So they knew that would happen.
So Finn goes to blow up their command tower, base, cockpit. Bridge. Yes, thank you. And I just wrote, good thing this spaceship's cannon can be operated from the outside.
They had wires.
Yeah, okay, good point. But I'm glad I bring this up because I've got a note for it later. So now we get to see Kylo Ren facing the Knights of Ren, and I wrote, finally, the Knights of Ren get to do something.
Yeah, and they get destroyed, and I love Ben's shrug.
Yeah, and I
After
wrote...
he pulls the lightsaber out.
Okay, I wanted to talk about that too. That scene is so cool, how she passes it behind the back.
Yeah, and then he has it, and he's just like, yep, I have a lightsaber now.
And then after that, I wanted to note, why did the Sith troopers attack Rey? Palpatine made it clear he wanted to die. Like, they get all defensive of Palpatine as if he'd not just asked Rey to kill him.
Yeah, but then, like, Kylo's on his way.
Right.
Like, he knows that Kylo's on his way. I don't know. They're under attack, Elijah.
Suspend our disbelief. But I really liked the fight against the Knights of Ren. I really wish they'd played a larger role in this trilogy, because I feel like, again, like, thematically, this scene of him turning his back on the Knights of Ren could have been really powerful. But honestly, it could have been anyone that he was fighting here. It could have been Jedi hunters. It could have been stormtroopers or the Sith troopers, or maybe some crazy Sith acolytes or disciples or whatever. Like, I don't know. It didn't really feel like it mattered that it was the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, I can see that. But I will say, in my opinion, this is the best combat we've seen in the entire sequel trilogy. Is the Ben facing off against the Knights of Ren, and Rey fighting the guards that are there.
Yeah, no, it looked really good.
Yeah, it was choreographed really well, and maybe they took that note from the last film, whenever the fight between her and Kylo sucked.
Right. I mean, like, on the surface, it looked really good, but, you know, when you look deeper, there were a lot of issues.
Yeah, but this one was actually choreographed, like, very well.
Yeah, I really like this one. Okay, and then we get Kylo showing up to help Rey. Do you have anything here before we cut to to Lando?
Yeah, so Palpatine's plan does make sense if you know about his master, Darth Plagueis.
Right.
Like, my whole thing that I was mad about Palpatine's whole plan about getting Rey to strike him down and the spirit transfer and all that, it all makes sense if you... Like, he has some lines here about how whenever Ben does show up, he's like, wow, a dyad. Like, now I can be as strong as I, like, need to be because you two have enough life energy between you to fully restore me.
Right.
Because for some reason Rey's life force wasn't enough, so he was going to have to steal her body.
Yeah.
And then Ben shows up and he's like, a dyad. Very
I'll get
strong.
my whole body back.
Now I can come back again.
Yeah. Right.
Which makes sense if you like know the story of Darth Plagueis and everything that he was into and
Right.
his manipulation of midichlorians and his experimentation with everything. Which again, if you haven't read the Darth Plagueis Legends book, you definitely should, because it does make Palpatine's plan in this movie make a lot more sense. But
yeah.
Again, that's Legends now, but to me it really supports this film better.
So like as we've talked about a lot, we can still I really think we can still, as long as it doesn't directly contradict with anything that's an official Disney canon, we can still view it as like second or third level canon. Which I know isn't how Disney officially sees it, but like I'm pretty sure in their canon, Plagueis was still Palpatine's master.
Yeah, well, I mean, he gets mentioned in episode 3.
Right. So they
That
literally
book,
can't.
That book is just considered Legends now.
Right. The book is, but we can still maybe take some stuff from it. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So I really love Poe's line here as everyone's calling out to him and he's apologizing to them. Like, this moment feels so powerful.
Oh, of everybody dying and he's just kind of singing in the cockpit.
Right, and then he starts to say, like, I'm sorry. I really thought we could do this. There were just too many of them.
But there are more of us!
I know. Again, just another really powerful line from Poe that kind of comes in with a cringy line from Lando.
Yeah, which is sad because he's such a wonderful man.
I know. I love Lando so much. I just, like...
Poor Billy D. Williams.
I feel like these really powerful moments of Poe... I don't know if that was necessarily the right way to handle what happens after, but...
I mean, but, like, how else do you introduce that whole fleet of...
Right.
Just people throughout the galaxy? Like, that was really the only way to do it besides, like, him looking up and going...
Oh, there's a fleet
Oh my gosh.
now.
Yeah, like, oh, everybody's here.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I do think that could have worked if it was handled right. Like, not just, like, I think just showing them show up wouldn't have worked, but, like, maybe, you know, Finn's watching one of his friends and they're about to get gunned down, and then the TIE fighters after him get blown up. I know I said blown. I'm really struggling today.
I know that a way that it could have worked way better and it's still been a line.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So Poe says his line, and then there's just silence on the comms still. And then all of a sudden you hear the same thing, you know, just like that little bit of static. And instead of it being Lando, you just hear, Misa back!
Yep. And the whole saga was turned out to be Jar Jar Binks' return to the light side of the Force.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that would have been great.
See, I set you up for that whole thing just to give you that.
Thank you so much. I want to talk about the ghost.
Well, before that, so whenever Lando's flying and destroying everything, like the fleet's there,
Right.
Anthony Daniels has a cameo.
Right. So, the ghost, we actually see the ghost before that.
Lies! My notes are right here.
So, it's before they start fight, like right when you see the fleet, we do see the ghost again. We see the ghost twice. As far as I know, it might be more, but,
What ghost are you talking about?
from Rebels.
Oh, that's the ghost.
Yeah, and it's right behind the Millennium Falcon as they all pull in.
I thought you said ghosts. Like ghosts. like multiple like.
Oh, did you think I skipped all the way to the end of the movie when we see Luke and Leia?
No, I thought you skipped to the voices.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm talking about the ship, the Ghost.
Yeah, I thought you said ghosts, like multiple.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Singular ship, it's here. I knew it was there the first time I watched it, but now that I'm watching Rebels, like, I really appreciate seeing it now.
Yeah.
Are there any other ships that, like, you recognize besides the Ghost and the Millennium Falcon?
I think there's some hammerheads there
Oh, nice.
from Rogue One.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Other than that, there's like a million ships. I didn't really focus on it.
Right. Okay. So we get Palpatine. He's back. He sucked the life force out of everyone, and we get to see character fake out death number 6 as he force pushes Kylo Ren into oblivion.
I wouldn't say it was a fake out.
I kind of thought he died there. I just want to point out there's like 3 distinctive character fake out deaths for Kylo Ren.
It's just a hole. Plenty of people have fallen down holes and lived.
That is true. Okay, sorry. So, in reference, I'm so tired. In reference to him attacking the, using the Force Lightning on all the ships, which we can talk about more in depth, I was trying to write, not gonna lie, it looks really cool. But I accidentally wrote, nut. Dang, it looks cool. I'm so tired, you guys. I'm really sorry. If this is the first one you're listening to, I'm not always like this.
Lies. He's always like this.
Okay, so my question to you is, how is he only hitting the Resistance fighters with his Force Lightning?
Because now he has the power of Ben Solo and Rey.
Yeah, you're right. He got that power boost, which I do think it looks visually cool, and we get to see similar stuff like this in Legends, but I just find it really strange with that much lightning, he was only hitting the Resistance ships.
Well, I mean, he was strong enough to conjure a storm and blow up Luke's temple.
That is true, and I'm still mad about it. But you are right, from all the way from Exegol. That is a good point.
Plus, he's Palpatine. He can do anything.
He's Palpatine. Okay, I don't have anything till we hear the voices.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm ready to talk about the voices too. Well, just one voice in particular. I don't really care about the rest of them.
Okay, then I've got a couple notes. So you wanna give your line first?
Yeah, just that we hear Kanan.
Okay, cool. I wanted to talk about that too, Kanan and Ahsoka.
Yeah, I was just more happy to hear Kanan because I don't think I ever caught it before that Kanan has a line too.
Yeah, no, I hadn't either. And the only reason I realized it this time is because I specifically turned my subtitles on for this scene so I could see.
I always have my subtitles on, so.
I know, cool guy Mac.
That's right.
So I'm really trying not to be negative, but Anakin's line about bring balance to the Force just like I did. Like, I don't know. I feel like the prophecy, especially with this film, just meant literally nothing. So like we see Luke talk about it earlier, like for a while there was balance, but like I just don't think there was a clear ever and this isn't a problem just with this film. Like as much as I love the prophecy and as much as I specifically think that Anakin brought balance to the Force by destroying not just the Jedi Order but the Sith Order as well, I don't think there was ever like a really clear answer. We talked about that interview with Freddy What's-His-Face, who voice acted Fred from Scooby-Doo. In that interview, he specifically says that at the end of the prequel trilogy, there was 2 Sith and 2 Jedi, but not Obi-Wan and Yoda, he's specifically talking about Luke and Leia. But, like, obviously, he knows more about Star Wars than we do, but, like, that's not a balance that can be maintained, you know? And, like, what's the point of having this big prophecy, if it's only, like, temporary balance? You know what I'm saying? And again, this isn't a problem just with this film. It's the whole saga. I just feel like there wasn't a clear vision on what the balance actually meant. And so Luke or Anakin saying this really bothered me this watch through.
I can tell.
I'm really sorry. I'm very passionate about Star Wars. And, like, again, I just, like, he brought balance to the Force. Luke very clearly says there was balance, and then there wasn't. But, like, you know, we talked about it in our last episode. Is there truly balance to the Force if there's just the light side? Like, that was one of our big issues with the Jedi and their arrogance, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you have to, like, I think that's why in the Clone Wars they did the Mortis trilogy, is to really answer that question of balance.
Right, yeah.
Which I'd probably have to go watch those episodes again, and I'd probably have a better idea on how to formulate an answer for you.
It's a balance of light side and dark, and this idea that for there to be balance, the dark side has to be destroyed is such like a Western Americanized view.
That's not true. That's what the Mortis trilogy is all about.
No. I completely agree, but in the film, like the Jedi sorry, I punched my mic. The Jedi specifically thought balance was an absence of the dark side, and then coming back to this right here, killing Palpatine, destroying, you know, the dark side, that doesn't really seem like balance. You're completely right about the Clone Wars arc, but...
Well, no, I think the Clone Wars arc answers why they destroyed Palpatine because of what Luke did. Because Luke finally accepted the darkness within himself, which is about what that's what the Mortis trilogy is about.
Right.
And that's what the father, who represents like the balance of the Force, because there's the father, the mother, or not the father, but the father, the son, and the daughter. And in
Legends there is a mother as well.
But yeah, so he tells Anakin, like, you are the one to bring balance to the Force, but you have to accept all of these bad things about you too. Right. And that's what Luke actually does, and that's why people think that like Luke brought balance to the Force, is because he did accept the bad inside of himself along with the good.
It's the yin and yang.
Okay, anime.
I will get you to watch anime at some point.
I did watch anime.
That is true. You're a weeb now.
Never.
No, I don't. It's all on like the prophecy and like, what's the point of a prophecy if it's only going to be temporary balance, you know? Like even just 30 years. I wasn't even 30 years.
It determines on how you view the prophecy though.
Right. And that's a large part on what I'm talking about. I just feel like the films don't really, you know, that Clone Wars arc really showed what balance was, but the films, I feel like, didn't do a great job at showing that.
Or is it supposed to be up to interpretation? Are you, the viewer, supposed to determine what that means to you?
That is true. Anyway, we get their lightsaber, or the lightning versus lightsaber duel.
Are we done talking about the voices now?
Oh, sorry. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I just wanted to know if there was anything that stuck out to you. Like
my whole
particular
rant.
Character.
I
just meant like the
Anakin,
characters in and of themselves.
No, the characters in themselves were Kanan and Ahsoka, which actually, somebody, I can't remember who, I think they tweeted a picture of Ahsoka after this scene and kind of hinted that she was still alive.
We don't know.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. We don't really know, but but this scene kind of hints to her being dead.
Possibly.
Because everyone else that we hear a voice from is definitely dead.
Yeah, but we don't really know how Ahsoka's characters work because she was in the world between worlds.
Right. Okay, that is a good point.
And we know that the world between worlds, like, you can view the past as like as well as the future because there's no really such thing as time there. Like, time's not linear there. It's all...
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
So that could have been Ahsoka while she was in the world between worlds.
Okay, I will give you that. Okay. Do you have anything before their final showdown?
Well, no, it was just cool, all the different voice actors they used for that scene, because they used James Arnold Taylor to have some Obi-Wan lines, as well as Ewan McGregor.
Right.
And
right.
then they used Alec Guinness's classic voice, and Ahsoka was voiced by Ashley Eckstein in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and they used her, and then Freddie Prinze Jr., who voiced Kanan, and Matt Lanter, who voiced the Clone Wars Anakin, and then obviously Hayden Christensen's voice. And then they had Mace Windu and like
Yoda and
Luminara,
and there was one other Jedi. I can't think what her name was. I think it started with an A though. But no, and I think this was a really good tie back to all of Star, like the whole saga. And I wish we'd seen more stuff like this throughout the whole trilogy. Like this is one of the few moments out of this trilogy that's supposed to be ending the saga that I feel like it's actually trying to tie everything together for an ending.
Yeah, it was just a shame that we got it here at the end.
Right. Okay. Anything on their final duel?
Just the line itself.
The I am all the Jedi, I am all the Sith.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't know. I think, like, the voices, I feel like, really work to tie everything together. And I feel like that line was trying to do the same thing, and it just did not work.
No, it did not achieve whatever they were trying to do there.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wrote, well, not the last thing, but for here was, and then she struck down Palpatine.
Palpatine technically struck down himself.
That is true. And she didn't strike him down in hate, and she didn't strike him down to gain his power. But I do just think it's funny that, you know, that's what he really wanted, was for her to kill him.
And then he killed himself.
That son of a gun. Oh, okay. So this is why I specifically brought up the Finn thing about the gun earlier. So right after we see Palpatine die, we see Finn blowing up the bridge of the ship. But like, it's kind of been a while. What was him and Jana doing?
I think they were fighting their way up to there.
No. That's why I brought it up earlier. They successfully got to the gun.
I guess they were splicing it.
That is true, but we see that she'd already spliced it, and like the gun was like visually moving towards the bridge.
I don't know how time works here. Maybe they were chilling for a sec.
Maybe they were in the world between worlds.
Maybe everyone is in the world between worlds. Maybe this whole film takes place in the world between worlds.
Maybe that's where Exegol really is.
Who knows? I wish I was in the world between worlds right now.
Me, so you didn't have to be in this conversation. Okay, whatever.
I'm kidding.
Okay, and then, so we see them blow up the bridge, and then we get character death fake out number 7.
What's number 7?
Rey dying.
Death? Everybody dies.
Everyone dies. So Rey's dying, Finn feels it in the Force, and then we get Kylo Ren coming up to heal her.
Yeah.
Because
no one's
sacrifice.
ever really gone.
Right. Until, he is gone.
No one's ever really gone until we see them get impaled by a lightsaber and fall down a hole or go into the Force.
No one's really gone until they've been impaled by a lightsaber, shocked by their own lightning, thrown down a hole, blown up in a spaceship, and then brought back as a clone 30 years later to then be burnt to a crisp by themselves.
Yes.
And then I wrote nothing like some cousin kissing.
They're not cousins.
They're kind of cousins.
No, they're not.
Palpatine made Anakin in the Force.
Oh boy.
He's kind of like he's the closest thing to a father Anakin ever had.
You take that back. Obi-Wan Kenobi was the closest thing to a father he ever had.
That is true, but biologically,
Jar Jar Binks was his father, okay?
biologically, nothing like some cousin kissing.
I like it. In fact, it was my favorite part of the film.
I
I wish I could watch that moment for just hours on end.
Jokes aside, how did you actually feel about their kiss here?
It didn't bother me this time.
Yeah, me neither. It did bother me the first time.
Well, because, like, at this point, you've completely given up on Finn and Rey having a relationship because he had Rose in the last film, and I guess that's not a thing anymore. And now he has this new chick.
Right. Which there wasn't as much chemistry between them as I thought there was.
No, just shared trauma.
Right. I thought there was a lot more romantic tension between them, but you're right. It mostly was just shared trauma.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it didn't really bother me. Something I did really want to talk about, though, is, and we've mentioned it a couple times here and there, just like now that we've seen it, how do you feel about them bringing Palpatine back? Now that you've got some hindsight on it, and we've watched the second half of the film.
I'm not as upset as back then.
Yeah. Now, I think thematically, it being the end of the saga, I get why they did it, but I just think it was handled really badly.
Yeah, and I mean, if you did bring the Yuuzhan Vong into this, it would have had to have started the first film, and even then you have to bring Palpatine back, or at least talk about him a lot.
Right. And no, so here's the thing. I know I've talked about the Yuuzhan Vong, and I do think that would have been a really cool story for them to explore. I wasn't really set on it being the Yuuzhan Vong.
But they're the only Force in Star Wars that really has anything like big going on with them.
Right, and like here's the thing about the Yuuzhan Vong. As much as I love that storyline, it wouldn't have really made a good end to the saga, you know? I mean, I don't necessarily feel like the way they handled it was either, but you know, the Yuuzhan Vong would have just been like this massive army from another galaxy that just appeared in the third to last film, you know?
It would create a lot more questions than answers. Right.
But I think, you know, if Palpatine coming back was the plan, they should have, you know, been working on that from the beginning. But I don't know. Something that really bothers me with them bringing Palpatine back is, it was such an important and such a powerful moment of Vader betraying Palpatine and throwing him down the hole, and it just kind of feels like that moment meant nothing now.
I can see how like that could come across because it does like detract from his story and like that redemption arc.
Right.
But I mean, it's not about Vader anymore.
No, I know, but like, I think you can create interesting stories and interesting sequels without undoing what the previous heroes did, you know?
Yeah, but that's not what they decided for this film.
Yeah. No,
I think
agree.
once you get past that, like, I think these films are probably more enjoyable.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe here, I'll try and watch these films again here in another 5 years, and maybe I might enjoy them more.
In another 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
was that how long it had been?
It's been about 3 years, I think, since I've watched one of the sequel films.
Wow.
Yeah, because I haven't watched any of them since Rise of Skywalker came out in theaters.
That's impressive.
So I guess 2.5 would probably be closer, but yeah.
That's very impressive.
Anyway, and then we get Kylo dying, and I did write, again, Leia not being a Jedi means nothing now, but I do think what you said actually changed how I view that a lot. Them Skywalkers just always trying to avoid their visions.
Okay, so first question. Would Ben's redemption arc have been more meaningful if, like, he was too late, like he couldn't save Rey?
Maybe. That would have been... I don't know. I may have liked that better.
Or, like, if she just died in his arms and, like, we see him try to do what he did, but she won't come back.
Right. I don't know. As much trauma as he'd been through, I think that would send him back into a really dark spot, and he might return to the dark side, you know?
Maybe, but I feel like he finally understood who he was after the Death Star, and I don't think he was ever going to go back, even without Rey or with Rey.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think I would have liked that a lot. I just don't I personally didn't like him dying. Like, yeah, it's really powerful that he sacrificed himself to save Rey, but you know, everything he went through, the film is literally called The Rise of Skywalker, and they killed off the last 2 living Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, how do you feel about it?
I don't know. I would have liked to have seen Ben live instead of Rey.
I think it would have been great to see both of them live, but I know this, hopefully this is the last time I'm going to say this. In the whole soft reboot nature of this film, Darth Vader sacrificed himself to save Luke. And so, of course, Kylo had to sacrifice himself to save Rey.
I mean, he did love Darth Vader, so...
He did. Gotta go out like good old grandpa.
Might as well.
But no, I agree. I really wish Kylo had lived.
And then that brings me to my point that I brought up earlier in the show is Leia's body doesn't go into the Force until Ben's does.
Right. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about this.
So like you brought up earlier, like you don't think Leia like really died. Like, yeah, she died, but her body didn't go into the Force until Ben's did. And then that line earlier of what Maz said about Leia would have to use all her power to bring her son back.
Yeah.
And so I think through the Force, like Leia was like helping Ben the entire time. And that's what like saved Rey, was like her helping Ben. And then whenever Ben like finally dies after giving all his life force, like he goes into the Force and so does Leia at the same time.
Okay. But would that be, obviously she does die, but that's why I think that maybe she died at that moment and had been kind of in like a coma like state as she was still trying to help Ben until he does die, and she obviously does die.
Yeah.
Maybe
she was just in the cosmic Force.
Maybe she was in the world between worlds.
Maybe, who knows?
All time at once.
You never know.
And then I think, just kind of as a general note, the galaxy is in the exact same spot it was at the end of the Return of the Jedi. What
are you talking about?
You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I know I said that was probably going to be the last soft reboot note I had, but like this really is like my main issue with this trilogy. I just feel like it took once, like we got the story of the original trilogy. This new sequel trilogy took a step back and then took a step forward, and we're exactly where the original trilogy ended.
Yeah, but I like what they did here at the end.
No, I do too. Like, I don't think it was bad. Like, I think it was really cool seeing everyone celebrating and Star Destroyers coming down. It's just, very reminiscent of The Last Jedi, or not The Last Jedi, The Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, well, it has to be, and the only reason it's reminiscent of the Return of the Jedi is the new cut, the way that the Return of the Jedi ends in the current films that are out, or the current version of the film that's out right now. Where at the end of Return of the Jedi, we see Coruscant, we see Cloud City, and we see Naboo.
Right.
That's not how the version that you and I watched growing up ended.
No, yeah, right.
But at the end of this one, we see, Endor, which we see Wicket, played by Warwick Davis. And then the little Ewok next to him is actually his son.
Ah, sweet little guy.
Which was really cool. And then you see Cloud City as well. Mm-hmm. Well, Bespin. And you just see the destroyer falling behind it. And then Jakku at the end, where you have the old Star Destroyer in the sand that we saw in the first movie, and then the current Star Destroyer falling behind it.
Yeah. And then we get Chewie's medal.
Well, right before that happens, the moment between Poe and Zori where, like, everybody's looking for each other.
Right.
And Poe sees Zori in the crowd, so he knows, like, she's made it. And everybody's, like, hugging, kissing each other. And he, like, looks at Zori, and she looks at him. And he, like, kind of gives her that look, like, well. And she just, like, nods her head. And he's like, fair enough. Might as well have tried.
Yeah. And that's on, respecting consent.
Hey, I like that part. That felt like a genuine part of this film, too.
I did, too. I know I've been very negative, but I still enjoyed watching through this. Like, not as much as I enjoyed the first half of this film, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Most of it.
It was just the end.
It was just the end. Okay, Chewie's medal.
Yeah, Chewie's medal.
So, didn't we talk about vaguely how he didn't get a Wookiee originally because...
He didn't get a Wookiee?
I'm so tired.
I think that's what we should call those medals now, forevermore. Those are Wookiees,
he
like
didn't
Emmys.
Get a medal because it was against, like, Wookiee culture, right?
Yeah.
Right. And now he got a medal.
But yeah, it wasn't because of what he did. It was a token, a memory.
Right. A keepsake / memory of Han.
And Leia.
Also, question mark, how did Maz get it?
She got it from Leia's body.
Oh, okay.
Leia had it in her hands whenever she went to go up there before she died. She had it in her hands.
I never caught that. Sorry, I was not expecting you to say that at all.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and we get the hint that maybe Jannah might be Lando's daughter.
I don't know about that scene. You can interpret it different ways.
Right. No, I agree. I don't know, because I think somewhere in the new Disney canon they've stated that the First Order stole Lando's daughter.
I don't know. I haven't read that book and or comic.
Right. Yeah. No. I haven't either. I just I know somewhere that's stated. So I think that's what they were hinting at here. But you're right. It could be taken a couple different ways.
Yeah. And then whenever Poe and Finn and Rey are all back together again and they're hugging.
Yeah.
If you look in the background of everybody celebrating, there's Chewie back there talking to 3PO, and he's like holding up the medal and showing it to him. And it's just the most like heartwarming thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's so sweet. I don't think I've ever noticed that before.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about this scene specifically, how did Poe hurt his arm? I don't remember.
I don't know.
It was probably in the 3-hour cut.
This movie is almost 3 hours.
It's like 2 hours. It's a little less than 2 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, technically with credits and stuff, it's over 20 minutes, but...
Yeah, I think if you stop it like right at the last scene, it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah. But, Release the 3-hour cut, you cowards. Release the 4-hour cut of the Revenge of the Sith. I almost said Empire Strikes Back. I take
Release Elijah's cut of the trilogy.
Release it right now, you cowards. No,
I have to
honestly,
see the tire fire.
As much as really, as much as my problems I have with this trilogy, I don't think redoing this trilogy would be a good idea. I think it would just cause more divide within the fan base.
Well, we still have to finish the film.
Let it die.
We have to finish the film.
Okay. I don't have anything till not Palpatine, Tatooine.
Palpatine, Tatooine, same thing.
And oh, wait, okay. I do have a question regarding Palpatine. What's stopping, he's already come back. What's stopping him from coming back again?
The fact that this was the last Skywalker film. That one's gonna be a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry. On Tatooine.
Tatooine, Palpatine, magazine, tire fire,
Creatine.
Jawas.
Okay, so back on Tatooine, we see some Jawas. And then just as a, general statement, I don't mind Rey coming back. It makes sense thematically as they're ending the whole saga. We open where we close. But I hate that she buried the lightsabers. Again, I get it. It makes sense thematically. But we know that there's a kyber crystal shortage. Future Jedi might need those lightsabers.
No, they've already been collected by General Grievous.
But also, Anakin hates sand. His saber gets buried in the sand. Also,
I know, Elijah. I watched the movie too.
Also, what about Luke's lightsaber? What happened to it?
I don't know.
Yeah, because she buries Anakin and Leia's, but not Luke's.
I don't know what happens to Luke's lightsaber. Maybe that'll get answered in Mandalorian.
Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, what do you have to say about this scene? Her visiting Luke's home, the burial.
I like seeing the old home.
Me too.
And it was super nostalgic and everything. I don't like the old lady and how she has a different creature. She doesn't have an Eopie.
Yeah, that would have been a little better.
Which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they're the creatures in Phantom Menace that you see everybody riding on. That you see Anakin and Qui-Gon ride one together. It's what he brings the parts back to the ship. They're the little camel looking things. They make fart noises.
It could have been a nice visual callback.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you have an Eopie?
How did you feel about Rey's lightsaber?
It's cool. I want to know where that crystal came from.
Right. Yeah. Same. Maybe she went to a Jedi temple and found one.
Maybe it's Luke and Leia's because she's all the Jedi.
Maybe it's all the kyber crystals that have ever.
It's all of the kyber crystals in the entire galaxy because she is all the Jedi.
No, but I really like it. I think it looks cool. I just wish we'd seen it earlier. Actually, get to see it in use.
You get to see it in use in the Star Wars Lego Holiday Special.
That is very true.
You're welcome.
So then we get to see Luke and Leia, and I wrote as Force Ghosts, and I wrote, "Where's Ben and Anakin? Eat my shorts, J.J. Abrams." Just had to throw that in there one last time.
Where's the entire Jedi Council?
Okay, I don't even care about the entire Jedi Council. I just this is a really important moment of her realizing I found my family. I'm really a Skywalker. Anakin and Ben should have been there. At least Ben.
No, she always just wanted a mom and dad, and she finally got it.
But they're brother and sister.
Then it's keeping with the Skywalker theme.
That's keeping with the Skywalker scene. Okay, I don't have anything until that last line though, Rey Skywalker.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I know a lot of people have problems with this. I don't, because a big theme of Star Wars has always been found family. Literally since the beginning. So I have no problem with her saying she's a Skywalker. My problem is they killed off all of the other Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't think people would have hated that line as much if Ben had survived.
I didn't rather enjoy her saying that.
Okay, so thematically, I don't have a problem with it. The line was a little cringy.
That, and who is this old lady?
Right, and why does she matter? And why does she care what Rey's surname is?
And why
Her
is she at
family
the
name.
old Skywalker house? And why does she know that nobody's been there? Was she a neighbor?
And did she then go dig up the lightsabers to sell them on the black market?
Was that really General Grievous?
It was probably General Grievous.
Dressed up as an old lady.
Okay, but like, how wild would it have been if they actually brought like General Grievous back, or like Count Dooku, or
Okay, well, Count Dooku has no head. Grievous got shot in the chest and blown up.
Palpatine was tossed in a hole and then blown up in the middle of the Death Star.
What are you talking about?
Anyway, sorry, I just had to throw that in. That's all my notes.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe just as a general statement of the whole saga as a whole, or this whole trilogy ending the saga, this film, I really think they realized, like, oh, hey, this isn't just the end of this trilogy, it's the end of the saga. And I never really felt that with the other two films.
Yeah, I think they did try to get their act together here. It was too late.
It was too late. This is for anybody wanting to get into like filmmaking or storytelling in general. At least have a general idea of where your story is going. It will always make stories so much better.
Well, I mean, we talked about the Lord of the Rings, and it's like Aragorn's progression.
Yeah.
You know, like in the third film, we finally see him become the king of men.
Right.
But like that builds through the other two films, where like in Fellowship, like he's a ranger, he's Strider, like he's just this guy that helps people.
Yeah.
In the second film, we start to see him become more comfortable with who he really is and leading people. And then in the third film, he is a leader. And
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's because they knew where they were going. I mean, they had the books. And I'm not sure exactly how much Tolkien had planned out ahead of time, but it is a fantastic story. But then, like I've mentioned Attack on Titan, I've watched this series probably 4 or 5 times now, and every time I watch it, I see something new that was foreshadowing the ending of the series, or like something that would happen later, and it just blows my mind every time.
yeah.
Yeah, or the prequels. I mean, the prequels are a fantastic example. Like, George Lucas knew, no matter what, at the end of it, Anakin had to become Darth Vader. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, it was just how he got there that he had to figure out.
Right. Anyway, I know I was very negative a lot, and I do apologize for that, but I definitely did not dislike this trilogy as much as I did in the past. Like, a lot of things that you've said have made me feel a lot better, and I've changed my mind on a lot of things.
I think this, like, watching the sequels again and me trying to convince you that Luke was a great guy and that Luke's character was okay, definitely made me watch the movies differently. And
Yeah.
I found a lot more good in them than I thought I would ever find.
Yeah, me too. And I really am sorry. Like, I know you put a lot of hard work into, like, making a good argument on Luke, and I think you did. I'm not saying you didn't. You really changed a lot of how I viewed it. I still just, at least this watch through, I still just didn't enjoy what they did with Luke's character. And maybe next time I watch through it, going through, knowing everything you said, I might have a different perspective.
Who knows? So I want to know
knows?
now here at the end, what's your ranking of the sequel trilogy?
Oh man, that's really hard. I think The Last Jedi is still my least favorite.
Boo! Boo Elijah!
I know. I'm sorry. I'm literally the worst. Worst co-host. Worst person that's ever existed. I cancel me on Twitter, please. Yeah, I don't know. So here's the thing. Like, I've talked about The Last Jedi a lot. We've talked about The Last Jedi a lot, but like, there's just something about it. It just doesn't feel like a Star Wars film to me. Like, even as much as I don't really like The Force Awakens and I don't really like The Rise of Skywalker, I mean, I do like them, but even with all their problems, I think would be a better way to phrase it, they still have this, like, vibe of Star Wars. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I just feel like... I wish I could explain it. There's just a feeling that I get when I watched 7 and 9 that I did not get with 8. And maybe
that's okay.
just... And maybe that's just because they had different directors, or probably because they had different directors. But, yeah, I don't know. And who knows? Maybe if Rian Johnson had directed all 3, I, wouldn't be saying that about it not feeling like Skywalker or like Star Wars. Maybe it doesn't feel like 7 and 8 or 7 and 9. So, to answer your first actual question, though, I'm sorry. Probably 8. Then probably 7, and I probably would put 9 on top. As I know I had a lot of things to complain about it, but the first half of the film at least felt like its own original story.
Fair enough.
What about you? What's your ranking of just this trilogy?
I don't know. What would be first? No, I'd probably put The Last Jedi first.
Yeah, as like your least favorite.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought you said The Force Awakens. My mind is not in the right place. Okay, yes, The Last Jedi.
Yeah, The Last Jedi is probably 1 for me. And then depending on the day, Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker can interchange as far as 2 and 3.
Yeah. No, and I honestly, I think that would be a good way to describe how I feel about those 2 films, but 1 and 2.
And that's fine. That's fine.
And that's fine. So for our listeners, I'm sorry, before I guess get to our intro, you have anything else you want to say?
No. That's it.
Cool. For our listeners, just a heads up, we're going to start talking about Solo next week, or not next week, 2 weeks from now. Then we'll talk about Rogue One. Super excited for that discussion. And then I think we're most likely going to have our first guest star episode, and we're going to do an official ranking of all the live-action films.
So that means we have to watch all 9 films again before that show.
Yeah, I'm totally going to do that. Totally, my friend.
I'm kidding. I mean, it is a new year.
Relief, I feel.
It is a new year.
We haven't watched a lot of these films since 2020, so...
I mean, maybe you.
For our podcast, I mean.
Yeah, no, I watch all the films at least once a year.
So I might watch a couple of them again before we get there, but yeah, I'm really excited. The person that we're potentially going to bring on is his favorite trilogy is the sequel trilogy, and so I think it's going to provide a lot of really good, a different view from what HouseDog and I have.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that one. But if you guys have any questions for us, you can email them to us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. For the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And the ever superior, your favorite host, the one that the show could not go on with, HouseDog.
I mean, you are my favorite host.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
you're not
everybody.
mine.
Oh.
Goodbye. Tire fire.
Tire fire. 3 CPO. Wait, I gotta get it in there one last time. I know I can say it correctly. C3PO. Let's go. That's what I've been waiting for.